Hola.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
Making it happen, man. Making it happen.
We got I think a 10 a.m. call right after this.
Yeah, I think so, with Ryan.
Yeah. I got to look on my calendar. I think I got a 10 and 10:45.
No worries.
Yeah. How's everything going?
Staying busy, man. Got a lot of good stuff going on. Working on a few restaurants for Ryan out in Olympia. So I've got maybe 4 calls I'm going to make here to help him get some restaurants onboarded as well. Just some guys I dealt with back in the day. So I'm going to reach back out to them.
Good. So we got a bunch of markets that could get open or get, you know, I'll go to them in the call.
You're on the call.
Oh, we're on the call right now.
We're rocking, man.
We're live.
No playing around.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, let me see who's on. Hold on. Koyat's on. Good morning. Ryan is on. Hey, Ryan, I had a good meeting with your guys the other day, so that was really good. Legacy Rideshare is on. Good morning, William. Deborah, good morning. Eduardo's on. Daniel Packer is on. George Graham is on. Hi, George. Darius is on. So everything's starting to get some people on here for a second. Darius, we got a couple new guys in Las Vegas I want to introduce you to, so you can get them going on helping onboard restaurants here. Let's see. Yeah, we'll just wait a few more minutes as they start.
Okay.
Try to look at my notes. So we have kind of a short list today of stuff. We're going to keep it pretty simple. We might take a couple of questions. Do not ask me questions that can go to support to be answered. I mean, all those kinds of questions you should be doing during the week or anytime, actually. You can send it in at midnight because we operate from East Coast to West Coast. So at 6 a.m. East Coast, or 9 a.m. East Coast time, they're online, which is 6 a.m. on the West Coast. So, and luckily, you know, probably 9 a.m. is even a late start for them. They're probably at it really around 7:30.
Oh, yeah. Evelyn is up at like 5.
Yeah, so Amy just said Evelyn's actually up about 5. She's a junkie, man. She can't stop fixing people's problems. Okay, guess what time is it?
It is at 9:02.
We'll wait 1 or 2 more minutes. Hey, what are you doing, buddy?
Joe Jones said hello. He stopped to say good morning, but he's got to run. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Joe. Good talking to you yesterday.
Rodney.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing?
Oh, yeah, Rodney, are you feeling better? Don't forget, tomorrow's daylight savings time. So you'll be setting your clocks forward, which would be nice. It means 6:30, 7 o'clock is still light out. I can't wait till it gets to about 8 o'clock and it's still light.
That's right. Head up to Alaska. It's 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, yeah. Good. Means spring is around the corner. We got a late cold spell here this week.
Yeah.
It snowed a little bit yesterday, which is crazy.
Kevin here. They signed up 2 more yesterday. How many is that, Kevin? In Tucson.
Oh, in Tucson. Kevin's been knocking out 1 or 2 a day.
Yeah.
So,
and he's the only one that keeps sending me the photos when he's signing up the restaurants. So he's kind of taken over the social media. Deborah in Chicago. Woo-hoo. Where are you? Oh,
What is it?
nothing.
Okay, well, let's get started and people catch up. Like I said, we don't have a big list of stuff. Most of the tech is done. The big piece that we're working on right now is Verb to get that up and running. So everything's moving along, and that's side of the equation. So there's not really a lot to talk about on the tech side. I want to talk about opening cities, kind of some do's and don'ts, and some things that are creeping up that we need to get kind of a handle on. Some people are calling our restaurants that the referrers already signed up, they're active, and they're calling up the restaurant to see if the restaurant needs any flyers, materials, etc. And I get what you're trying to do. It's pretty simple. You're trying to look for business, except that restaurant belongs to somebody that's already worked it and got it up. We have all the stuff we have in the back office has been generated pretty much by Tony, and it's all real-time, good information to use. There's no need to create any documentation, just print the stuff out that we have. It works beautifully. It's simple. So if you're one of the people that's out there calling restaurants, soliciting them for you to, you being the restaurateur to spend money, don't do that. All that's going to do is upset the restaurant owner and get confused who belongs to the account and what they do. We got enough confusion. We don't need more of it. So that's just a cautionary tale. And the ones that are doing it know they're doing it. And the ones that are doing it, I know who you are. So simple. So a couple of items that we need to talk about so you guys understand the order process. And this is across the board with all delivery companies. Once the order is confirmed with the restaurateur, there are no cancellations. The restaurant is out of pocket at that point to make the meal, and they start making a meal. And if you cancel it, there's nothing they can do with it. They just spent the money to build that meal, and all their profit goes away and all that stuff. So there are no cancellations once you place an order. Does that make sense, Tony? I mean,
Yeah. That's
pretty traditional with everybody, right?
It just depends on whose fault it is. So yeah, how we did it. If our driver screwed up and made the mistake or whatever, we can make it right. But it's definitely something we can discuss on the SOPs.
Yeah.
So what we're getting pushed to live right now, when you place an order, which you guys, if you have friends in the open markets, you should order them some food just so you have placed an order and you know how the app works.
Yeah.
But when you slide the bottom to pay, the next box that will come up, that's in the next push, will come up, and you are agreeing that once you place the order, you cannot cancel the order. So like other places, they'll say, oh, the driver gets the cancellation fee, or the restaurant or whatever. We don't have a cancellation fee. You place the order, you pay for the order.
So way to do it.
You're agreeing to that.
Yeah. And a couple other kind of side issues that go along with orders. We have one of our donut shops in Nashville. People are forgetting to turn on their tablet. And so we've actually sent them in the last couple of days 3 or 4 orders they didn't even know they had. And they never shipped them. So, the customer actually canceled them because it takes too long. So we call the restaurant, find out what the problem is. They didn't turn on their tablet. So they're missing orders. And then there was actually one this morning. We monitor all this all the time. There was one just 20 minutes ago. Their tablet wasn't on. We were able to call the restaurant and place the order. And it was a, fairly decent sized order, 35, 36 bucks. So, the guy that took the order just works there, and he didn't know anything about the tablet. So we helped him get it turned on and got the order placed and stuff like that. So be cognizant of that when you're out selling and, working with your restaurants. It takes a little training. They also may have multiple tablets already. They could have 2 or 3 tablets or more. And then another one, they're not thinking about, particularly we're the new guy on the block, right? So we're starting to pick up orders. I think if I'm not mistaken, in the last 10 days, business days, so last 2 weeks, we've signed up 35 new restaurants in Nashville alone. And that will start as a multiplier effect. Is if we do our job, do great service, people will tell people who tell people, right? And that's how you start to expand virally into these markets. It's all about word of mouth. When the timing's right, which is not too far away, we're going to start hammering that market with consumer advertising. But we can't do it with limited amount of restaurants. It won't pay off. It just won't. Because we're going to go after the consumer side. So understand how we do this. We have a couple of referral partners that are smarter than marketing people, telling us how to run our business. We know how to run the business. We have a certain criteria that works. It's actually using data. So you guys understand, if you use the correct data, you're going to come out with pretty good answers. If you use the wrong data or false start something, you're not going to be successful. And these are tried and true kind of data research that we use in the marketplace before we do stuff. So we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot because, and I'll give you an example in a second, but we'll go out and spend 150, 200,000 in marketing. And if we're not ready for it, guess what happens? You just threw it down. You'll never get that money back, ever. Same thing with opening markets. And we're going to talk about opening about 6 or 7 markets here in a minute. But, when we go cross border, like Toronto and Canada, and we open a market up, you guys got to be ready for a market to open. You can't just kind of idly stand by and say, okay, the market's open now, I'm ready to go. And then you go out and get, this and that. And, and you've lost focus on what it is. We have sent about 150 leads for drivers only in the last, I guess, 3 weeks, 2 weeks for Canada. Oh, in a week. So in the last week, we sent 150 referrals, maybe 200 referrals to the people in Canada, and nobody's followed up on them. And we went to turn on, we thought was going to be turning on one of our restaurants that Koyak got, which got 25 locations, and we weren't ready for it because we had 0 drivers. If we had drivers, we could have literally turned on 25 stores in about 24 hours because all the menus are the same. All we have to do is drop in the locations, one menu, put it all up. We'd be good to go in 24 hours. We would have had a presence there. Just about wasting dollars. What you guys don't see is on the backside to open up Canada because we're going into a foreign country. Okay, so it's a lot different than going to Missouri, So that's a very costly expense to the company to open up a foreign market, not counting all the programming costs, which probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000 to $15,000 of just programming time to get it set up because it's totally different. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying these are all new experiences. So people are going to screw up. So let's fix the screw ups and take advantage of it. So we know not to do that anymore, right? So, and we know that if I send you leads, I could have the guys that are working the leads that we give away to you guys for free. This is just for marketers. I could have them work them and not give them to you guys and make you go get your own leads. The whole point of the marketer program is to take our best people, salespeople, and give them the tools they need. So we give you leads. We're, when the Verb product comes up, you'll have, just tons of information. You have that simple process for somebody to sign up. We're trying to give, tools for you guys to help yourselves. So you got to take advantage of it. And I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to teach right now. So some of the things that are going well for us is Kevin in Tucson and Laurel, isn't it Laurel? And Laurel are crushing Tucson. They're going to have 50 restaurants signed up so we can open a small part of that market. And we're using a strategy that Tony has been using. Let's not worry about opening 400 or 500 restaurants. Let's open markets that we can get penetration into and captivate a part of that market and then start to grow more virally as people see it. So now we can take on multiple markets And if we do it right and we get some of these markets up and running in 5 or 6 weeks, now we could have 10 or 12 markets open. And that starts to get us into the game. So it's a really good strategy that Tony came up with. So Kevin is on top of this. So we'll probably get him open in the next 2 or 3 weeks. He's been opening, signing up a restaurant 1 a day or 2 a day for the last, 3 a day. So he's done a phenomenal job. Lori is doing a great job in Morehead City. She's got to have 30 for us to open. I've backed it off a little bit for her because I want her to get going. So she'll be going here probably in the next 10 days. She's got 11 of her restaurants signed up. We're doing the menus now. So we'll probably open with about 20, maybe 22 restaurants. And then she'll just fill in the rest. The kind of interesting thing that's happened to her, 11 restaurants of hers don't want to use any of the other carriers for delivery at all. They just want to use us as an exclusive. Now it's good news and bad news. The good news is we get to have the whole, apple pie, but we better damn sure do a good job. That's the thing. So Lori's going to have to be living in those restaurants. I mean, she's going to have to be in those restaurants every other day, making sure her drivers are doing the right thing, picking up orders, helping them with their marketing and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of work, but let's say she gets 30 restaurants. She's got a pretty nice passive income going on there. I would suspect 30 restaurants probably will generate, 45,000, maybe 50,000 a year. And that's not to say she's not going to get, more than 30. There's about 60 restaurants. I would suspect if she's doing that well, all those restaurants are going to move over, because the pricing model is so strong.
Tell them about the contest they're doing too.
Oh yeah. So one of the things they're doing, and this is for everybody to understand, this is where creativity, entrepreneurship really pays off. So she's doing a great job. They've made up little cards. They've got their code on there, the whole 9 yards. And then the restaurants are doing a promotion where if you download our consumer app in their restaurant while they're having a meal, then they go into a pool and there'll be a drawing, and then you'll get a free meal or family meal or whatever. They're all coming up with different promos. But that's smart thinking. Now they're going to go from, and Tony did the math on this one restaurant up in Toronto, but I think they were spending $100,000 a week in delivery fees, and it was costing them 30 grand a week out of their pocket or something. So that was going to go down to like 8,000 or 9,000 with us or something, right? Some number like that.
Yeah, it was closer to 5,000 if we'd have done the same amount of deliveries. So
yeah, so
1.3 million a year in savings for that.
Yeah. So that's all bottom line numbers. I mean, It goes right to the bottom line. So those are the things that's why the business model is powerful. However, it's only as good as us if we don't do a good job servicing them. But the upside's so big. I mean, I was talking to a guy yesterday. I had a meeting with a couple of folks yesterday that Ryan introduced us to. And the guy was doing the math, and he is a really well-known, successful entrepreneur, business networker. And he was doing the math, and he was blown away. He actually said if I had 1,000 restaurants up, I could make $1 million a year passive income. And he was doing the math. And I said, yeah. And he even cut the math down. It was still significant. It was still close to $1 million a year. So those are the things to look forward to. So Tucson, Morehead City, I guess we'll get those guys turned on about the end of the month, which is 15, 16 days away. Toronto's lit up. It's ready to go. I was blown away with the number of restaurants around every corner and blocks with restaurant after restaurant. The COVID, they've been locked down there. I think the market's starting to open for them. So all the team that's up there in Toronto, I would grab every one of those drivers we've sent out in the last week, which are about 200. And if you don't know which ones they are, get a hold of Michael Recall. If he's got every one of them, he can resend them to you guys. But you want to get on the stick and start getting these markets open. Every day you wait is less money in your pocket. It's a pretty simple equation. Work hard, get these open. In the case of Koya, you've been waiting 2 years. We got it up for you, brother. We just now got to go to work. And as soon as you get enough of them open and they open the country up, I mean, I'll be up there in a minute. I want to come up. I want to watch some baseball with you guys, and we're going to open some restaurants. Same thing in Houston. So these are all markets I'm talking about that are ready to go. You can start working tomorrow morning that will open once you get enough girth in these markets. So Houston, I got JP down there. We just gave him a catering company that he's going to meet with the folks on Monday. He'll start with that. He'll get his drivers working, delivering catering, and then he's already started signing up restaurants in the Houston market. He's doing the same strategy. He's carved out a part of the market in northern part of Houston. There's about 1,600 restaurants in that market. His goal is to get 100 of them lit up. When he gets 100 lit up, we'll turn it on for him. I think he'll get 100 probably. He's got a little army of guys he's bringing on board, all drivers, but he's going to teach them how to do this. So he'll get those 100 restaurants up. We'll open that market. Also, Salt Lake City, which Salt Lake is one of the first markets that we actually wanted to go into. We actually paid our fees to the city and stayed there 2 years ago. So we got lucky with Corey, and Corey introduced us to a group of guys, and then the guy I was just telling you about, that's a networker. He's a 7-figure earner. Anyway, he's also from Salt Lake City. Looks like Salt Lake City is going to get started probably next week. I don't suspect it's going to take them a month, 5 weeks to get enough restaurants so we can open that market. There's 5,500 restaurants in all of the state of Utah. So anyway, they're going to get started. So I think Salt Lake City will get open, in 5 or 6 weeks as they get going. They've got a lot of momentum. One of the guys that's on their team is a blogger. He has his own website and has 4,100 restaurants signed up with him alone already. So he's got to just convert like 1,000 of them over, and he's in the chips. So they'll get that rolling. I'd like to get all these cranking all about the same time, or maybe we get get Tucson and Morehead City open, and then Toronto follows up that with 4 or 5 weeks later. And then every week, maybe a new one comes online, like Salt Lake City is going to come online. And then we got the old standbys that we've been, talking about forever. Orlando, West Palm Beach, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. One of the things, William's down there, I think sometime later next week or the following week. William's got about 27 restaurants ready to go that he signed up. He's going to go down there and get those turned on. He's going to start working with people down there in these markets. But if you're in Orlando, West Palm Beach, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, we have about 30,000 people that signed up with us just in those markets. We're going to start peppering them with emails and information to get them going. And we're going to find the leaders, in each of those markets like Orlando. Don't forget, these markets are test markets also with restaurant managers. So those will be coming online pretty soon with George Graham and those folks. We got Joe Jones down there working another part of Florida. So these are a big push for us. We don't have the strong leadership like we have in Toronto and Houston and Tucson and Morehead City and things like that. But we'll develop that leadership over the next 3 to 4 weeks as we start to grind this through. William, one of the things that William talked to me about the other day, which is really important, is you guys have heard the term dress for success. I mean, if you go on our, Trip Delivers store, you can see all the paraphernalia. You can get a shirt with a logo, you can get a hat with a logo, you can get a lanyard, all that kind of stuff. And it's really important if you want to look sharp and you want to close a deal, look like you're successful. Go out and spend, $25, get yourself a lanyard, go get yourself a shirt, just get a golf shirt with a logo on it. Look professional when you go in there. Go get some business cards made up for yourself. The ones that do that, trust me, are going to be successful. If you look the way William dresses, he puts a tie on, shirt. I mean, he's a pro. And if you look that way, it's going to help you close deals. It's just that simple. If you go in God, my sinus are going crazy this morning. Excuse me. If you go in a pair of jeans and, and a t-shirt and you look scruffy, I don't know if a restaurant's going to want to sign you up because they're going to think, oh, is this guy going to be handling food and our customers and things like that? So you got to think about, put yourself in the shoes of the restaurateur, the owner. And that's really important. And if you dress for success, and it sounds crazy, maybe you only have enough cash to buy one shirt, okay? Well, you might have to, wash that shirt out every night and hang it over the clothesline. Unfortunately, but it takes that kind of, tenacity and drive and commitment to do that. Because when you see what's going to happen with Kevin and his market and Lori and her market, where they have captivated that market, I mean, nobody, listen, Kevin's going to have 100, 150 restaurants up in his markets. And it's not going to be long after he launches with 50 or 60. He'll just keep working those markets and momentum carry, people hear about it. And then he's going to be in the 6-figure range almost immediately. Same thing with Morehead City. There's not enough to get to the 6-figure range, but there's enough to really get a nice, comfortable residual income, $50,000, $60,000 a year. And if she wants to do more, maybe then she goes down to Raleigh and starts opening down there. She can hire somebody to help manage the restaurant she's got. Don't forget, there's a lot of things you can do once you have cash flow. You go hire a person to go work your restaurants for you as the liaison. So you pay them an hourly wage or whatever, or you just sign them up as a referral partner. There's a lot of things you can do. So keep those thought processes. But we're going to attempt to open all these markets that I just mentioned over the next 6 or 7 weeks, along with Nashville. This will put us in the game pretty quick. And it's going to catch a lot of the competitors by surprise, believe me. And I see them, they're always on my LinkedIn now, and I'm talking about not somebody that works for Uber. I'm talking about Uber corporate, or a Grubhub corporate. They're all corporate. You can see where they're coming from when on their LinkedIn. So they're keeping an eye on us, which they should. And we should be smart and do what we're doing. Just go grab market share and pieces of markets and let it take over. I was under the wrong impression. Maybe we should go open 200-300, restaurants. And then Tony said, no, let's go open a bunch of markets basically with a small amount and get viral and get them going. So I think the strategy's, spot on, obviously. Tony, you got anything you want to add to that?
I mean, it's easy to control the environment when you've got, what I tell people when we opened larger cities, like I didn't open Dallas back in the day when we opened Dallas. We opened Plano. We looked at a group of restaurants that we knew were high volume restaurants, 4.9 out of 5 stars on Yelp and Google. The reviews were through the roof. And so we just drew a 5-mile radius around those restaurants. And we were like, all right, any restaurant that's within that radius, we grab and we try and sign them up. Then we go get drivers that were within that 5-mile radius, but you can also grab drivers that are on the outskirts. So there's a couple cities near Plano, North Dallas. You've got Richardson. So you've got other suburbs that are, kind of right beside it, Carrollton. And so we would go recruit drivers from all around those areas. And what was great is as you start to develop the delivery business within Plano, you start to go, all right, we got a bunch of drivers in Richardson. We got a bunch of drivers in Plano. We got a bunch of drivers in Carrollton. Let's open Carrollton and Richardson. Now you've got kind of the north part. Then you can leak up into Frisco, and then you start pushing down into Dallas. And next thing you know, within a couple months, you've got the whole city, all the suburbs around it open. So, I tried to target areas because it's easy to deal with that and to control that. If I've got Dallas and I try and open it all at once, and I've got drivers in the south part of Dallas, and I've got an order in Frisco, if you know that area at all, it's further north. It'd be like an hour and a half drive for the driver to get from South Dallas up to Frisco to grab the food. So that driver is worthless as far as getting those orders. They could only do South Dallas orders. But when I opened Plano, I knew every driver we had could deliver Plano. I knew every driver we had could deliver Richardson and Carrollton, so we opened those cities. Then we just started to expand. So that's what I tell people in the bigger cities, target a suburb, focus in on it, 20, 30 restaurants you can open. You've got enough drivers, 10, 20 drivers. It doesn't take a lot. because when you first open, it's not like you're getting thousands of orders coming in right out of the gate. You can grow with your business, but the bottom line is we can open a lot of areas quicker, and then we can work on market saturation after that. I think the first thing is if you've got somebody that's serious, obviously we've got our gal up in Raleigh, we've got Tucson, we've got folks that are really serious about opening their market. So yeah, go get 30, 40 restaurants, get enough drivers locked in on board, and then, Bob will flip the switch for you guys and turn it on.
Yeah, we're doing some stuff. Tony and I are gonna be talking after the call. We're looking at our competitive pricing on deliveries. So we're going to probably make some adjustments to be a little more competitive in the markets. And we have some ideas, so it won't cut into the driver fees. We're really cognizant of that. But yeah, we're going to get a little more competitive on that end of it. So we're looking at every aspect of the business for you guys and how to make it work for you. I really believe that strategy that we're putting together, that Tony has actually put together, is going to work really well, because once we get these markets up, and then what we'll do is we'll go after another 10 or 15 markets. Maybe we have 7 markets here. We know how to get going, and we know what the problems are. We know what the lead times are. Then we'll say, okay, is it time to bite off, double that number? So let's go after the next 14 or 15 markets. So the game plan here is to get a strategic position within the delivery business. If we do this the way we're doing it, it's basically like asymmetric warfare. It's the same thing, actually. And you start opening markets, and before the competitors realize it, we're in their backyard. Okay, we're not some little company over here kind of wishful thinking. It's really gonna, from a competitive standpoint, they're going to have to compete with this, even if we only have 50 restaurants in a market or 100 restaurants in a market to open with. It's going to freak them out, because it'll leak into the restaurant owners faster than you can believe. Because these guys are all talking. I was at a meeting the other day, and turned out the guy I was talking to actually owned 3 restaurants in town here in Vegas, and he was good friends of another guy that has a restaurant. And he doesn't even run the restaurant. He's just a big investor in it. And he says, can I have, the owner of the restaurant call you right away? Because I explained to him that the restaurants mark, I said, I don't know if you know how the restaurants work with the delivery service. He said, oh yeah, they mark it up 30%. I go, yeah, well, ours is $2 to $3. He almost flipped. And then he was like, man, you talk about an attention getter. So, anyway, that's our strategy. Some of the things we're working on, they're little things. The leaderboard will be up next week. It'll be all national, everybody national. Now, there's going to be a lot of markets aren't open, and, but it's just something to keep an eye out. It's going to have the people that are doing the work, and you can see the people that are doing the work are going to get the rewards. There's nothing better than seeing that in print. And that's real-time information as we start to pass that information along. I want to also give a big shout out to Jonathan in Nashville. The guy is just a super dude. He is killing it. Every time we've needed a pickup or any kind of work done, he's been Johnny on the spot for deliveries. Dwayne also has done a phenomenal job. He's signing up a restaurant or 2 every day also. He's going to be the big earner in that market. He'll be probably the first guy that gets to 100 restaurants, I would think. Although it might be close by the time Tucson gets up. So that's all I have. I'll take a couple. Tony and I'll do a couple questions.
I want you to answer. Pamela.
Okay.
Because that's Pamela Pitkin, Williams Firehouse Subs.
Oh yeah.
Signed up this week.
Yeah, Firehouse Subs signed up. It's good. It's a great brand.
She wants to know, how long does it take to get a restaurant's menu active for customers?
Depends how long the menu is. We had one that had 3,000 line items on it, so it took a long time. But typically, if it's a normal menu, 24 hours, it'd be up. Like the Canadian restaurant, we could have had their whole thing turned on. However, we had no drivers, and
when the market's open, it can take 24 hours.
Yeah. But It doesn't take very long. And we want to get them up as fast as you want to get them up, believe me.
So this week, we actually did have someone, because Dwayne's been signing up so many, we've sent him tablets in advance.
Yeah.
So we signed up Sam's Pizza.
Yeah.
And gave him a tablet. We did their menu that night. He went back the next day and he said, it's ready to go. He couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
He was just like shocked. 24 hours, he got his tablet and he was live.
So we're going to be doing those kinds of things instead of sending one-off tablets to each of the restaurants, because of the nature of, you're in the belly-to-belly business. So in the case of like Tucson, we'll send a load of tablets up there. You walk in your restaurants, turn them on, get them started. Same thing with Morehead City or Toronto. Any of these, as we go, we're going to start sending the tablets to the referrer who can walk into the restaurant, get them lit up, handhold them, and show them how to use it.
And if you're not there, you can always Zoom
Yeah.
or FaceTime, or there's ways to figure it out.
Yeah. But generally, if it's not very long, it's a 1 hour deal. I mean, excuse me, 1 day deal. I'm trying to talk and look at messages. So the guy that I met with yesterday just messaged me. He's so fired up over Trip. It's amazing. He's just like out of his mind.
Lori says all of her restaurants have huge Trip Delivers posters in their windows. Lori, you should send us a picture of that.
Yeah, so we post it up. You're doing a phenomenal job. You're making people crazy, but that's okay.
Where is the merch store?
The merch store is on the My Trip Delivers, and scroll down to the bottom of the page, and I think it says,
in the footer.
It's in the footer. Yeah, it says Trip Gear Store. They got some great product in there. I bought some of it myself. The quality I was really pleasantly surprised. Williams bought a bunch of stuff. Darius, when he goes out, he wears a white shirt with our logo on it with a tie. He's a pro.
Lori says, are all Firehouse subs on now everywhere?
No, these are franchises, so we have to call on each group or each individual.
But if you know a Firehouse sub, you can use them as an example.
They have a lot of Firehouse subs here in Las Vegas.
Ron says, can our competitors just drop their percentages contracts with the restaurants in order to compete with us?
Okay, so that is actually a very, very smart question. And the reason it's smart is, as we build out our business model, when we're building the business model out, we look at all those things, right? We look at the competitor and we say, okay, what if the competitor lowers his from 30% to 15%? What's that look like? So all those things matter. So we've run all these scenarios, already, years ago, when we developed the business model to see what the impact is. And, as I've told you guys before, mentioned, I've been doing this for 40 years. So I can tell you pretty much what's going to happen. It's a race to the bottom for them. All they'll do is lose more money. Their business model, people, there's a misconception. When you build a business model, you got to start with a very simple premise. What are my operating costs? Okay. So when Bob says, hey, let's don't be wasteful here. Let's don't do this. Just because somebody else is doing doesn't mean we have to do it. We are a little company. We're going to be a big company one day, but we got to watch everything we do. We don't have excess cash to throw around and, do these things, right? That's why we use kind of an incentive with stock options. If you believe in the company and you have stock options, and those shares maybe in 2 years or so down the road are worth $20 a share, you can start seeing what that really means. But if they lower their business, let's say they drop their pricing, all they're going to do is lose more money. They haven't been able to really make money today. So how is it going to be when they lower their prices to make money? It's almost an impossible task. They would have to start with a clean piece of paper and rebuild their whole company to compete with us. And that's the only way it really works. I mean, if you go back into the home improvement business, when I was in it, we were building 110, 120,000 square foot stores. Home Club had the largest volume per square foot than anybody, including Home Depot. Lowe's wasn't even in the space at the time. Lowe's was they were doing $1 billion of revenues, but they were doing it in small town America with hardware in lumber stores. They didn't really start the big warehouse stores until 1989 or 90, I believe. And I know all the folks at the time. I knew the chairman of Lowe's. I know everybody in the space. And in all the traditional home improvement centers at the time, they all tried to do the same thing: lower their prices, do this, do that. And within 10 years, there was no more home improvement centers of 40 or 50,000 square foot around in the United States. Particularly chain operators went out first, because as they tried to combat it, it put them out of business even faster. So the chain operators are the most susceptible to these kinds of changes, because it impacts them across the board, which is, pretty dangerous. So think about that. If we're in one of these markets and we're crushing it, and our competitors start to lower their pricing, it's going to impact that market, but it's also going to impact other markets that they have. Because what's going to happen is drivers will start talking, hey, did you see this? Did you see this? This is happening here. So word of mouth spreads pretty fast in this industry with blogging and all that stuff. But to answer the question, they're going to all do all kinds of stuff to stop us. But luckily, our business model, we don't have to change a thing. We just got to execute our plan. If we just stay on our plan, we're going to win.
They already did. Remember, DoorDash went to Lori's restaurants.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. DoorDash went to Lori's restaurants and trying to convince the owners to stay with them. And they said, no, we're going with Lori.
Got a brand new iPad.
Yeah.
They said, no.
Yeah, look, you're going to have, all you guys are on this call once you start, and I would encourage you to jump on these markets right now, because what's going to happen is whoever gets in, that's why William is down in Florida. It's a land grab. He's down there, he got 27 restaurants. Before he's done, he's going to have 100. And then, same thing with all these markets. Single people are going to have a lion's share of these markets that get in and do it now. And that's no joke. That's the way it's going to happen. And you could be part of that land grab. I mean, it's like, you went out west in the 1830s, and you could get a section of property, and it's the same thing here. The people that are the hungriest, that are in the market, that really understand what's going on, they're going to be the first out there. So now you guys don't have just Nashville. Now you have another additional 7 or 8 markets you can go to. We get these up and running, we'll go do 15 markets next. If we do this strategy and it works, which I know it's going to work, and we could have 50 or 60 markets open easily by the end of the year and be filling in those markets. So think about this: Tucson opens with 50, and you got Kevin. He's going to keep going, and people are going to get alive, and they're going to, once they find out the guy's making money, oh my God, I got to get in there. So that'll keep following on. So as all these markets become mature, and then we have newer markets in front of them, it's going to be a fun game to play, because it's going to be a lot like playing chess.
Dwayne says, we are like MC Hammer. Can't touch it.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get him to do a commercial, Dwayne.
Yeah.
I think he's available.
Yeah, I bet he is. So anyway, let me see, what other questions?
JP was in Houston, and there's a competitor that's charging $30 an order.
Yeah. So our order price to them is $2 on the, no different than our regular price. The only difference is the drive times are longer, so we've negotiated a price. So this guy was paying $30, per delivery. We're probably going to be somewhere around $18 or $19 per delivery. So he's going to save 10 to 12 bucks. Put that per order per day. And when he was running before COVID, he was doing 25 to 30 orders a day. And he'll allow the driver to take 2 to 3 orders out at a time. So that's good for the driver, because instead of making 16, 17, 18 bucks per order, he'll make that per order, but he doesn't have to come back and pick up. So he'll just keep doing the circle. Hopefully it'll be structured right, so the guy's not all over the city, and they're in relatively short distance from each other.
Chris says, I have leads in Canada, but when I talk with drivers, they ask where we are open in Canada.
Well, tell them they can be the first.
But tell them we're open everywhere for driver signups. It's just like in the United States, we're open everywhere. But until we have enough restaurants and drivers in the area, then that's what we need. We don't have a specific number. For example, he's not here on this call, but there's someone that is very persistent that keeps emailing me that has 3 restaurants and 3 drivers. And I keep telling him, and I keep Bob, we can't open this market with 3 restaurants and 3 drivers. So it's kind of the same size as Lori's. He said, go get 20 restaurants.
Yeah, go get a big piece of the market share. One of the things when you have somebody like that says, well, how many, just tell them straight up, hey, we're open the market. You put 100% of the ride fare in your pocket. You pay a small stipend every month as a SaaS operator. And he's going to that person's probably going to make 30% to 40% more in his pocket a month than if he stays with what he's doing now. Plus, we're completely transparent on everything we're doing. So there's no hide the football here. It's pretty straightforward.
And did you talk about how we opened in Florida this week?
Yeah, we got 3 restaurants open in Florida to start with this week.
And if you look at the market tracker, because I looked this week when we had the orders, down below where that is, so that's Jupiter, Juno Beach, and Palm Beach Gardens. Right below that is where it's all drivers.
Yeah.
If you look, you guys can see it on your market tracker. It's just a sea of drivers. So if you're down there in Florida, like that's where William Mathis, I believe, is focusing.
Yeah.
The drivers are ready to go. So as soon as you get some restaurants down there,
yeah,
you know,
we have 30,000 people signed up with us between Orlando, West Palm Beach, Miami, and Fort Lauderdale. That's huge. Not counting, we have people signed up in Tampa, Jacksonville, and like that. And we're focused on these. So we're going to start working that list. We'll get that out this week and start peppering all these people that have signed up. You know, and I'm sure vast majority of them are, you know, just sitting around doing whatever because the rideshare business is dead pretty much. The restaurant business is on fire in Florida. So we'll get our share of drivers and get this markets open.
What kind of issues might come up with restaurants for the marketers that may need to provide ongoing support, the referrers for their restaurants? And do we have a training on that?
We have a training multiple times a week in English and Spanish. So if you haven't glued into them, glue into them. I mean, they're valuable trainings. A lot of the problems you guys have are answered on these trainings, and a lot of them are pretty simple. So I would encourage you to get onto the trainings. We can't make you do things. If you want to do them, that's where you make the money. If you don't want to do them, you're not going to make a dime. This is really simple, but we pay huge amounts of money out as a referral partner, more than anybody else in the space, not only in this space, but in almost any space when it comes to referral business.
But the biggest question so far for the referrers is the things in the merchant panel. And Evelyn goes over that almost every week. Yeah. And it's their hours, the promotions they can make. I mean, it's really cool whenever you get your restaurant and sit down and go in their merchant panel. They can change their menu, their pricing. They can add items. They can take items away. If they're too busy, they can turn off, which we do suggest.
And they can make
had orders this week, and we call and they say we're too busy to accept the order. Well, that's great. Then you got to turn your tablet off.
Here's a great story. I think it was Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan.
So a restaurant turned us down for an order that came through because they were really too busy. It was a Thai restaurant.
The Thai restaurant.
Yeah, in all of Nashville. So they're just slammed. And so Jonathan just happened to be nearby the restaurant. He went into saw the order. He went into the restaurant. You just love this. This is about being a committed, trip person. Goes in the restaurant, orders over the counter, walks in as a customer, orders what the customer ordered online to go, and he paid for it out of his pocket there, took the order and delivered it. You understand what the guy did? He took the initiative to walk in the restaurant, order it over the counter, paid for it with his own money.
And we Venmoed him.
And then we Venmoed him the money. We Venmoed him the trip and tip and everything. Because he's
an extra tip.
Yeah, an extra tip because he helped out the company. I think we doubled up on his tip. This isn't the first time he's done this, by the way.
And his driver app, I don't even know, like the one we called him for yesterday wasn't even turned on. The ones that are on, that are turned on, this is the big lesson for the drivers in Nashville.
Yeah.
If your app is on, that means you're available for orders.
So make sure either turn it on or turn it off and be cognizant
So
that you've
none of
done
you
that.
were available yesterday, so we called Jonathan. I mean, Jonathan's our superstar over there.
Yeah.
And Dwayne, Jonathan and
Yeah.
Dwayne.
Okay, anything else? We're going to wrap it up here in a minute.
What market is Firehouse signed on? DC, isn't it? Million Mathis.
Yeah, I think it's either DC or Atlanta.
No, it's not Atlanta.
Okay, so there must be DC.
I know you keep saying Atlanta. You guys listening? Bob keeps asking me about Atlanta. I haven't seen an Atlanta restaurant signed up in months,
Yeah.
so I don't know what's going on in Atlanta. But no,
That's why we left them off the list.
yeah.
So anyway, that's all we've got. Tony, you got anything you want to wrap it up with? Are you good?
Ready to rock. Let's get
Okay.
it going, guys.
All right. 9:49. So we're going to sign off, guys. That's where we're at. Get after these markets and start building like crazy. The faster you build, the faster money starts going in your pocket, and we start getting these markets open. Then we can get off to the next ones.